There's something about time travel that just refuses to leave our collective imagination. Maybe it's the fantasy of fixing past mistakes, the thrill of seeing what's to come, or just the sheer chaos of unraveling paradoxes. Whatever it is, time travel has escaped the pages of sci-fi novels and Hollywood blockbusters and found its way to the strangest corner of all, the internet. And once it got there, it thrived. Because let's be honest, no matter how skeptical we are, there's something weirdly irresistible about a stranger online claiming to be from the year 2671, especially when they post grainy videos of blurry objects and say, "You won't believe what's coming." We shouldn't care. But we do. And deep down, part of us wants it to be real. Not because it makes sense, but because it's too fun not to believe. This isn't just an internet trend. It's a digital campfire ghost story for the modern age. From forums in the early 2000s to TikTok's endless scroll of neon-lit, glitchy warnings from future humans, time travelers have become recurring characters in the grand stage of online weirdness. Some claim to bring warnings. Others offer dates, disasters, and lottery numbers, conveniently always just vague enough to stay believable until they're proven totally wrong. But behind all of it is a deeper question. Are any of these people actually real? Or is this just a reflection of our own desperate, meme-fueled craving for mystery in an age that explains away everything? So buckle up, because in this video, we're diving headfirst into the digital time warp. We'll meet the infamous John Titor, whose tale of government conspiracies and timelines still sparks debate. We'll explore the bizarre and chaotic world of TikTok time travelers, where dates are dropped like doomsday confetti. And finally, we'll get into the psychology behind it all, why these stories stick, what they say about us, and why even the most absurd claims sometimes go viral. Is it real? Is it all a hoax? Or is the truth stranger than any fiction we've dared to scroll past? In the year 2000, before TikTok, before Twitter, and even before Facebook, a stranger appeared on an online message board and said he was from the future. Not just metaphorically, literally. His name? John Titor. He claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036, sent back on a military mission to retrieve an old IBM computer from 1975. Sounds like the setup to a low-budget sci-fi flick, right? But for many, it quickly turned into one of the most captivating internet mysteries of all time. Titor didn't just post once and disappear. He stuck around. He answered questions. He explained the mechanics of his time machine. He talked about parallel timelines, nuclear war, and civil unrest. He said there would be a second American Civil War beginning in 2004, followed by World War III in 2015. Obviously, none of those things happened. But back then, the internet was still young and wild. There weren't thousands of fact-checkers debunking every post within seconds. There was no TikTok algorithm pushing the next video on top of the last. It was slower, stranger. And in that environment, the legend of John Titor grew. He shared scans of what he claimed were pages from the manual for his time machine, a device supposedly installed in a 1987 Chevy Suburban. He provided schematics, theories about black holes and gravity distortion, even technical-sounding gibberish that sounded just legit enough to make people say, "Okay, but what if?" This wasn't your usual internet troll. Titor wasn't asking for money. He wasn't trying to sell merch. He seemed oddly consistent in his story and strangely sincere. Whether he was real or not, he knew how to commit. Titor claimed he was part of a military unit trained in time travel, and his specific mission was to recover an IBM 5100 computer because it had a rare feature needed to debug legacy computer programs in the future. Nerdy? Sure. But that technical detail was oddly specific and real. The IBM 5100 did have a unique feature that wasn't widely known. People started to wonder how someone could have possibly known that in the year 2000 unless they were, well, actually from the future. Or, just a really obsessed computer geek with niche knowledge and a wild imagination. Then, in 2001, he vanished. No dramatic goodbye, no final warning. Just silence. And that's when the myth really took off. People started piecing together timelines, collecting screenshots, debating which parts of his story could still come true. Sure, the Civil War didn't happen, but maybe the timeline shifted. Maybe we weren't on his original timeline anymore. Titor himself had mentioned the concept of divergence, parallel worlds, and butterfly effects. Convenient? Definitely. But also the perfect narrative shield against being proven wrong. Since then, John Titor has become the internet's ultimate time travel celebrity. He's inspired books, documentaries, podcasts, Reddit threads, thousands of comments long. Some people still believe he was real. Others think he was a genius-level hoaxer. And a few say he was a group of people operating under one name, using the early internet as a playground for collaborative sci-fi roleplay before that even had a name. What makes the John Titor story so fascinating isn't whether it was real. It's how many people wanted it to be. There's something deeply compelling about a mysterious stranger showing up to say, "You're not crazy, the world is on fire, and I'm from the future to prove it." It's the digital age's version of the prophet. And whether it was fiction or something more, John Titor proved one thing for sure. All it takes is a screen, a story, and just enough science-sounding nonsense to make people believe they've seen a ghost from tomorrow. If John Titor was the internet's original time traveler, TikTok is the new breeding ground for 100 Titors a day. Only now, they're not posting on obscure message boards with dense text explanations and schematics. They're posting 10-second videos with dramatic music, glitchy filters, and captions like, "I am a time traveler from the year 2671. Humanity ends in 2027. Save this video before it's deleted." Welcome to the age of apocalypse influencers. TikTok time travelers have become a strangely viral subgenre of content creators, blending sci-fi, horror, conspiracy, and pure chaos into scrollable, shareable, short-form doomsday predictions. These self-proclaimed travelers often show up with usernames like "Are Your Time Voyager," "Our Real-Time Traveler 2671, or some vague anonymous handle attached to an AI-generated face. Their bios are usually cryptic. Their posts always start the same way. "Yes, I am a real-time traveler." And then comes the prophecy. Some claim specific dates. On August 17th, 2024, 500 people will gain superpowers. Others warn of planetary alignments, alien arrivals, or catastrophic events like the Great Blackout, an internet-wide shutdown that will plunge the world into chaos. Many videos use stock footage of natural disasters or UFO sightings. Sometimes it's just someone standing in their bedroom saying, "You've been warned." No evidence. No logic. Just vibes. And somehow it works. Their audiences? Massive. Some of these accounts have hundreds of thousands, even millions of followers. Viewers flock to the comment sections to ask questions, debate the predictions, or tag friends with ironic, "we're doomed" emojis. It's part parody, part performance art, and part digital religion. The scary part? Not everyone's in on the joke. Because the TikTok algorithm favors engagement over accuracy, the more mysterious and bold the claim, the more likely it is to blow up. And with younger audiences being the platform's primary user base, there's an impressionable crowd willing to at least entertain the idea that a man with an auto-tuned voice and a blurry Google Earth screenshot might just be telling the truth. There's a strange evolution at play here. In the early internet, time travel stories were slow burns. John Titor spent months crafting his narrative, but TikTok demands immediate drama. So instead of explaining how time travel works, these creators cut straight to the punchline. The world ends in 5 months. It's addictive. It's digestible. And because the prediction is always conveniently just far enough in the future, they're rarely held accountable when it doesn't come true. Some time travelers have even tried to pivot their brand. When their original apocalyptic claims fail, they reframe the narrative. We're on a different timeline now, or my presence here changed the outcome. It's the same tactic Titor used back in the day. The multiverse is the perfect excuse for being wrong. But on TikTok, it's done with a wink, a dance, and a trending sound clip. The TikTok format also encourages collaboration. Other creators will stitch videos with fake proof of prophecies coming true. There are entire accounts dedicated to debunking or mocking time travelers, yet even those videos feed into the hype. The attention economy doesn't care if you believe, it just wants you to watch. And then there are the believers. The kids who see these videos at 3 a.m. and spiral into Reddit rabbit holes. The conspiracy theorists who cross-reference predictions with news headlines. The doomsday preppers who've upgraded their bug-out plans based on TikTok forecasts. There's an emotional pull here, a weird comfort in believing that someone knows what's going to happen, even if it's the worst-case scenario. TikTok time travelers have become modern oracles for a generation raised on digital anxiety. Climate change, pandemics, economic collapse, everything feels unstable. So when someone shows up and says, "Yeah, it's bad, and I've seen what happens next," it resonates. It doesn't matter if it's fake. It feels real, and that's enough. This isn't just about goofy internet content. It's about how storytelling evolves in the algorithm age. It's about how fear, hope, and curiosity fuel virality. It's about how we process our existential dread through 15-second bursts of futuristic nonsense. In a way, the TikTok time traveler is a spiritual successor to the wandering doomsayers of the past. Only now, instead of shouting in the streets, they're whispering through your For You page. And you can't look away. Let's be honest. On some level, we all want to believe. Not necessarily because we think the physics check out or because someone on TikTok with glitchy editing truly holds the secrets of the universe, but because belief, especially in weird things, is deeply satisfying. The truth might be boring, but a good story? That hits different. So why are we so drawn to internet time travelers, fake prophets, and digital Nostradamuses predicting the end of the world with a ring light? It starts with something very old, pattern-seeking behavior. Humans are wired to look for patterns, even when none exist. It's an evolutionary survival trait. The rustle in the grass might be a predator, so the brain connects dots, makes assumptions, prepares for danger. In the modern world, that primal function hasn't disappeared. Instead, it's mutated into Reddit threads, conspiracy TikToks, and an endless loop of trying to make sense of chaos through fabricated connections. If someone posts that a meteor will hit in 2027, and then 3 days later, there's a minor asteroid flyby that makes the news. Boom. They were right. Doesn't matter that NASA predicted it years ago, and no meteors are actually slamming into Earth. The brain has its dopamine hit. The pattern has been confirmed. Then there's uncertainty anxiety. In an age of climate crisis, economic turmoil, political instability, and tech-driven existential dread, people crave answers, even bad ones. In fact, sometimes the scary explanation is more comforting than no explanation at all. It's the reason cults exist. It's why conspiracy theories flourish. And it's why the world will end on August 3rd can feel strangely soothing. If everything is predetermined, if someone has seen what happens next, then maybe there's a script. And if there's a script, then maybe there's control. And control, even if terrifying, is better than chaos. But the internet adds something new to the mix: social proof. When you see a time traveler video with millions of views and thousands of comments, your brain takes notice. Maybe you're not convinced, but your curiosity is piqued. You read a few comments. People are debating it, tagging friends, asking questions. Maybe someone even says, "Yo, didn't they say there'd be floods this week?" And you think, wait, was that in the video? Congratulations! You've been caught in the engagement loop. Social proof doesn't just influence buying decisions or TikTok trends. It influences belief. If enough people take something seriously, or ironically, or even semi-seriously, that belief gains traction. And traction feels like truth. Another layer: parasocial prophecy. Most of these time travelers don't just drop predictions and vanish. They become recurring characters in their own digital narratives. They reply to comments, post follow-ups, reference previous videos. Over time, followers feel a relationship forming. Like, this guy's been right before, or she's the one who predicted the solar storm. Even when predictions fail, the charisma of the creator can keep people invested. It becomes less about truth, more about the ongoing saga. A choose-your-own adventure with apocalyptic stakes. And here's the kicker: we love being part of something secret. Viral delusions are like digital campfires. They create micro-communities built around hidden knowledge, exclusive warnings, insider tips about the future. It's the same psychology behind QAnon or Flat Earth or even astrology memes. It's not about logic, it's about identity. About being part of the 1% who gets it. And that makes time travelers seductive. They turn you into a co-conspirator. You're not just watching a video. You're receiving a message from the future. Of course, this wouldn't be complete without mentioning cognitive dissonance. The uncomfortable tension we feel when confronted with evidence that contradicts our beliefs. If a time traveler says, an alien mothership will appear in June, and then June comes and goes with nothing but traffic jams and bad weather, believers often double down. Maybe they changed the timeline. The government covered it up. This is exactly what they said would happen if we noticed. Once belief takes root, it's incredibly resilient. In fact, being wrong can sometimes make someone believe even harder. Because if you admit the time traveler was fake, you also have to admit you were fooled. And that's harder to accept than just tweaking the story to make it fit. We also can't ignore entertainment psychology. Some people don't believe at all, but they still follow, still comment, still watch. Because time travelers are fun. They're horror movies disguised as prophecy. They're fiction with the thin veil of reality. They're dopamine machines. It's like watching a thriller. You don't really believe the killer's in your house, but you still check behind the door when the lights are off. Belief and disbelief can exist at the same time. It's called suspension of disbelief, and it's the fuel that powers everything from Shakespeare to Marvel to a guy from 2890 who warns that sea monsters will emerge from the Pacific by next year. So no, the majority of us don't actually think some dude named or a quantum time, the reincarnated through 3, has seen the future. But if enough people pretend to believe, even for a few seconds, it becomes real enough to matter. Real enough to scare us. Real enough to make us think. And in an online world where reality is constantly blurred by filters, deep fakes, and disinformation, sometimes the scariest thing isn't that we believe in time travelers. It's that we don't always know what we believe. The lines get fuzzy. The joke becomes sincere. The irony becomes conviction. And the next thing you know, you're setting a reminder for August 3rd, just in case. So where does that leave us? Somewhere between disbelief and obsession, skepticism and secret hope. Time travelers on the internet are, more than anything, mirrors. They reflect not only our fear of the future, but our longing to control it. We know they're probably fake. Edited videos, recycled stories, vague predictions dressed up in glitchy filters. And yet, Deep down, a tiny part of us wonders, what if they're not? Because if someone has seen tomorrow, then maybe we don't have to feel so helpless today. These digital prophets thrive in a strange space where fiction feels more real than fact. They emerge from the algorithm, speak in riddles, drop dates and disasters, and then vanish, only to reappear when something vaguely similar happens. They're ghosts in the machine, whispering about worlds that might be or never were. And the internet loves them, not because we believe them, but because we believe in them, in the sense that they entertain, distract, and let us play with ideas too wild for reality. It's easy to laugh at a TikTok where someone in sunglasses claims the moon will explode in 2026. But what's harder is realizing that these stories fill a very real psychological need. They give us meaning, identity, connection. They offer the thrill of forbidden knowledge and the comfort of a narrative in a world that often feels like it has none. And in an age where truth is increasingly slippery, where headlines sound fake and hoaxes feel real, the line between genuine and delusional gets blurry fast. Maybe that's the real danger. Not that people believe in time travelers, but that belief itself has become entertainment. The future isn't something we study anymore. It's something we scroll past. Something that gets views, shares, likes. And as long as time travel keeps racking up engagement, there will always be someone claiming to be from the year 2491 here to warn us about. Something, aliens, solar flares, world-ending storms, you know the drill. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the point isn't whether they're real, but what they say about us, about our fears, our fantasies, our need for meaning in the chaos. Because at the end of the day, believing in time travelers isn't about physics. It's about psychology. It's about us. And if we can understand why we're drawn to these stories, maybe we can start to write better ones. Until then, maybe just set a calendar reminder for August 3rd, just in case.